So here we are again with our old mate from NASA, Professor Mike Brown. Now, he's the guy who featured in my previous videos. He was the one that demoted Pluto, but he's also the one who's also on the hunt for Nibiru. But he doesn't call it Nibiru, he calls it Planet 9. Now, the reason why he would do that is a couple of reasons behind that. First of all, these professor types don't like to share with others. So if he referred to it as Nibiru or Planet X, like his predecessors, when he actually discovers it and starts showing us pictures of it, he would have to share that find with the people that actually wrote about it previously. But by calling it Planet 9, it's all his. He gets all the credit for finding it, okay? So, yeah, ego and money. Of course, the other thing is they don't want to call it Nibiru or Planet X because, you know, people plug that into Google, you're going to get all this information about those things like Planet X or Nibiru. But if you put in Planet 9, all you're going to get is Professor Mike Brown's information and news on Planet 9, okay? So, again, it's a bit of empire building, but whatever. It's just more proof to me that NASA know all about this and they're just playing coy at the moment. But what Professor Brown is saying at the moment, that Planet 9 is so massive that it's creating a tilt in the solar system. So it's creating a wobble, in effect. And based on the data, I actually would agree with him, although I'd call it Nibiru, which is actually a mini solar system in itself. So it's actually a dwarf star called Nemesis, and Nibiru revolves around that. So that's why it's so massive, because you've got a mini solar system in this massive elliptical orbit, which of course goes retrograde. It goes the opposite direction to what all the other planets in the solar system do. Okay, so again, we have NASA leaking out little tidbits of information to get everyone used to the idea that there's something out there and it's coming. And then down the bottom, we have our useful idiot, Jim Green. I honestly don't understand how this man sleeps at night. He sold his integrity for lifestyle, like a lot of reporters do. You know, a lot of people in the media, they prefer the cushy jobs and the big titles rather than speak the truth. And, I mean, that's something they need to come to terms with within themselves. So anyway, that's good old Jim Green. So, of course, Nibiru's coming, and more evidence from NASA. So what else would let us know that Nibiru is coming? Well, besides creating this wobble that in the solar system, as I said before, it's going to create a lot of Earth changes, which are volcanoes, wild weather, meteorite showers. So what's been going on in the world in, I don't know, the last couple of months? Well, quite a bit. We now back to NASA again. They've done a study and they've found that meteorites have been absolutely smashing the moon at a rate 33% more than they expected. Okay? So basically, meteorite impacts are up 33% in the last 7 years, which again backs up everything I've been saying, that we can see more and more meteorites coming. So that's an interesting article. Now, in my neck of the woods, in Queensland, Australia, there's a town called Bowen, which is actually very famous for its Bowen mangoes. I love mangoes, and they're the best you can get, Bowen mangoes. But anyway, they had an earthquake there, 5.8 on the Richter scale, which is unprecedented in this part of Australia. You know, I've grown up here and we just don't get earthquakes like that, let alone a 5.8er. So that's interesting. And prior to this, like a couple of months back, there was a couple of whoppers, like 6.8s, nearly 7s in Western Australia, but they were in the middle of nowhere, so they didn't really make much news. So we've got earthquakes going off, and we got meteorites coming in almost at the same time as that earthquake. A meteor came in. It lit up the night sky like it was daytime. Now, one of these actually came into Brisbane City where I live, and I witnessed it. I was with a friend, and it lit the whole sky up. And we actually thought it was lightning and then waiting for the thunderclap, but of course it didn't come. And then I realised that there was no clouds in the sky, and that was over Brisbane City. But this one was a whopper, and it hit. And of course, this is just showing that really big one in Russia a couple of years ago, back in 2013. This is when it really all started, when they started to come in. And I'm telling you, this is the key sign. If you want to know when to bug out or when to get to safety or whatever you want to do, meteorites are the answer, okay? You're going to get storms, earthquakes, tsunamis, you name it, all that stuff. But it's when the meteorites start coming in daily and in big numbers, that's when you know it's time to get out of town. And of course, the reason why is not so much you're going to escape them, it's you're going to get out of town before the roads get smashed up and the supermarkets empty out and people go feral and start roving the streets looking for food, house to house, okay? Anyway, we'll go to the next thing. You can check that out for yourself. I'll put all the links to these sites in the description. Of course, back in Australia again, we've had one of the biggest storms, freak storms, okay, in South Australia. And the whole state of South Australia, which is a big area, had a blackout. They lost power to the whole state. Okay, that's how big this thing was. And of course, as you can see here, it flattened the transmission towers. These things are massive. I spoke to an engineer and he told me it would take winds gusting up around 500 kilometres an hour, which is probably about 300 miles or something, or 250 miles, right? And he just said, look, we can't engineer for that sort of wind. Well, they could build them, like over-engineer them, but the cost would just be ridiculous, inhabited. But as you can see, like there's one there, there's one there. That's incredible. There's other pictures I saw as well of these things actually ripped out of the ground with their concrete footings still attached. Okay? So that's a freak storm. Really is. Of course, at the same time this was happening, we had Haiti got absolutely smashed by a hurricane. Then we had hurricanes in the Philippines as well. And sorry, it's lost me now, but definitely in the Pacific. The other thing that's been happening in the Pacific, of course, is volcanoes. They are going nuts at the moment. Every day I'm seeing a new volcano going off. The red ones represent active, as in they're actually active right now, and the yellow ones are like smoking, ready to pop. Right, so this is the ring of fire that you hear so much about around here. And look what we've got. One little spot where there's no activity, and there hasn't been all year. So, of course, the experts are all saying, well, it's only a matter of time. And an article came out just recently saying that San Francisco was literally on the verge of a big, giant earthquake. And they're saying it could be up to 9 on the Richter scale. So that's probably not somewhere where I would want to be in the next 6 months. But it's your choice. So yeah, Now, if you're not aware, I've got a webinar coming up in a week or so, and I really would urge you to get on board with that, and you don't need to fear it. If you join the webinar, it's just like a Skype, but instead of one-to-one, you've got me and 49 other people all interacting with each other. And if you're worried about anonymity, that's cool as well, because you don't have to have your webcam turned on. You can upload and create a profile if you want prior to the event, so you can load any picture you want, or you can just have it a grey screen. Same with your mic. You don't have to have your mic on, but as I said before, you'll need speakers because I'm going to be talking and answering questions. So what you can do is you'll have a little messaging screen where you can send a message to other people in the group, or just send it to me, or send it to the whole group, whatever you want to do. And that's how you can ask me questions, and then, I'll answer them. But you really need to sign up for that ASAP, okay? You'll receive an email, and in the email is a link. All you have to do is click on that link on the day, and it will automatically, if you don't have Zoom already installed on your computer, it will install it in about 60 seconds and then take you directly into the room. That's all you have to do is click a link. You can sign in early before the actual meeting starts to familiarise yourself with the screen and have a look at what's going on. So that's handy as well. So that's basically it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to doing it, and I really hope as many people as possible can come along. And these are the things we can talk about. We can talk about these earth changes. We can talk about NASA, what happens when you die, spirit guides, you name it. Anything you want to talk about, now's the time to do it. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I get inundated at the moment with hundreds and hundreds of emails from people asking me this and asking me that, asking me everything. And, in between making videos and writing books and doing consultations, I don't have time to answer everyone. So that's why I thought, well, if I can get everyone in the same place at the same time, because a lot of the questions I get are the same question, just worded differently. And it's interesting because they're coming from all over the world. They're not just coming from one country. They're literally coming from all over the world. So everyone's got the same concerns. Everyone wants the same information. So this webinar is the best opportunity for me to answer everyone. And everyone else gets to hear my responses to the questions. So it's a good opportunity to learn a few things. So all that information will be in the description below. Or you can go to my website, and there's also information there about how to join, how to book your place. So that's all for now. I'll sign off, and hopefully I'll see a lot of you in a week or so. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.